Because you listen, 7 years ago, I'd have been like, yo, did you hire somebody to kill Pac? But no, you do it like a journalist.
Yeah, no, I mean, we wouldn't even get into nonsense like that. You know what I'm saying? It's
Rappers are notorious for their rivalries, which frequently result in diss songs and other forms of media disgrace. Past events reveal that these rivalries can occasionally result in deaths. Over the years, a number of well-known musicians have been killed in shootings, and Notorious Biggie's death seems to be one of them that has gained notoriety after P. Diddy's arrest. 6 months after the death of his friend-turned-rival, Tupac Shakur, Biggie, the rapper who signed to Diddy's Bad Boy Records, was shot and killed. Many statements on the occurrence have been made. However, the matter is still unresolved. A number of people have come forward to accuse Diddy of Biggie's killing, and most notable among them is 50 Cent. Following Diddy's arrest, 50 Cent has spoken out and released new evidence for why he thinks Diddy is behind Biggie's death. But first, we need to understand Diddy's controversial relationship with his fellow rappers. Was Diddy jealous of Tupac and Biggie? In the years leading up to the deaths of Tupac Shakur and the Notorious Biggie, Sean Diddy Combs was filled with envy because of the strong connection that existed between the two artists. A Rolling Stone story conducted interviews with a number of Diddy's former acquaintances and co-workers, which resulted in the disclosure of fresh information regarding the alleged abusive behavior of the founder of Bad Boy Records over the course of his career. The former Bad Boy partner and president Kirk Burroughs claimed in one of the stories that Diddy believed that he was being treated unfairly when Tupac and Biggie became friends. "There was someone on the sidelines, jealous," Burroughs said, referring to Diddy. Biggie was signed to Bad Boy Records, which is owned by Diddy, while Tupac was signed to Death Row Records, which was a rival at the time. According to the story, despite the fact that Diddy was fond of Tupac and made an effort to become friends with him, the West Coast rapper did not have any interest in getting along with him. In an interview, hip-hop photographer Monique Bunn stated that Pac did not have any kind of regard for Puff. She went on to add that Pac considered Diddy to be a corny executive, and that he considered Biggie to be on par with him. According to Bunn, everything got blown out of proportion after Tupac was shot 5 times in a recording studio in New York City in the year 1994. The rapper was under the impression that Diddy and his Bad Boy crew were the ones responsible for the attack. Biggie and Tupac's relationship became increasingly tense, and in September 1996, Tupac was killed in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas. He was 25 years old at the time this tragedy occurred. It was less than a year later when Biggie was likewise shot and killed in Los Angeles, who was just 24 years old at the time. In addition, Bunn disclosed to Rolling Stone that Biggie had planned to leave Bad Boy not long before he passed away. "I know for a fact, because he told me that," she explained. 50 Cent alleges Diddy was aware of the shooter of Biggie. Despite the fact that Christopher Wallace, also known as Notorious Biggie, passed away almost 30 years ago, his death is still a mystery to this day. On March 9, 1997, he was returning home from a party when he was shot to death with a 9mm blue steel pistol. It is believed that the incident occurred as a result of the infamous rivalry between the East Coast and the West Coast rappers. His murder quickly gave rise to a number of conspiracy theories and a number of different lawsuits for wrongful death, all of which ultimately resulted in nothing. His death has not been solved despite the abundance of evidence that has been gathered. Notorious Biggie's killer has not been identified, despite the fact that the murder of his friend-turned-rival, Tupac, is getting closer and closer to being solved. In the middle of all this mystery, numerous claims and conspiracies have been made concerning his murder. Several of these claims and conspiracies have revived after Diddy's arrest, who was accompanying Biggie on the night of his murder. In 2006, in the midst of the never-ending dispute between Diddy and 50 Cent, 50 Cent produced a diss track in which he claimed that Diddy was aware of the specifics of Biggie's murderer. "Who shot Biggie Smalls? We don't get him. They gonna kill us all. Man, Puffy know who hit that." These were the lyrics of 50 Cent's The Bomb. While 50 Cent continues to be certain that the music mogul was involved in the death of the rapper, Diddy's former bodyguard also had some accusations to make concerning the rapper's passing. Despite the fact that Diddy has repeatedly denied these allegations, he was never formally charged with them. What Diddy's ex-bodyguard told about the killing of Notorious Biggie. During the time that Diddy is serving time in prison for the charges of sex trafficking and racketeering, an interview with his former bodyguard has been unearthed. During the course of the conversation, Gene Deal made a number of surprising assertions concerning the death of the rapper Notorious Biggie. During his appearance at the Art of Dialogue performance in February, Deal attempted to debunk a number of assertions that had been made about the deceased rapper in a variety of sources. Deal said, "It just hurts because they lie too much. A lot of that be lies the way they put it together, 'cause they listening to these white boys who wasn't even there. Wasn't no drive-by. The car was standing there at the corner. The stories they tell are not truthful. And now, people are sitting here believing." Diddy's former guard revealed how he came to Wallace's rescue after being attacked. He explained, while fighting back tears, that the death of Big continues to haunt him, knowing that he passed away while holding him. Following that, Deal made a startling admission, stating that he was aware that someone was going to die that night. "Before we left Andre Harrell's house, Puff told me I didn't have to go. Now, I went because I knew that somebody was going to die that night. Somebody was going to get shot. I did everything in my power to stop it from being Puff." This is not the first time that Deal has made such surprising accusations. He is still holding resentment over the murder of the young rapper. In spite of the fact that the music mogul had been arrested, his former bodyguard continued to appear on the same show and make some additional shocking allegations, which resulted in additional controversy and drama. Is Diddy's recent arrest uncovering his past crimes too? There have been multiple allegations of sexual assault leveled against Diddy at this time. The artist has been accused of sexual and physical abuse by 4 different women, including his long-term partner Cassandra Cassie Ventura, who has filed lawsuits against him. Rodney Lil Rod Jones, a producer, filed a similar lawsuit in February, saying that Diddy assaulted him over the course of a year while he was staying at the star's residences and collaborating on his songs. Diddy defended himself against what he called sickening accusations that were put forward by people looking for an instant payday in a statement that was released in December of last year. "Let me be absolutely clear. I did not do any of the awful things being alleged," he said, adding he would fight to clear his name. On the other hand, in March of 2024, federal officials conducted a lawful search at 2 homes that belonged to the celebrity as part of an ongoing inquiry into unlawful activity. The actions were described as an unprecedented ambush and a gross misuse of military-level force by his attorney, who also kept his client's innocence intact. Diddy, who has also been known by the names Puffy, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Love, and Brother Love, is credited with effectively rewriting the rules of hip-hop in the 1990s. However, his career has been marked by controversy throughout its entirety. Diddy's dispute with Tupac is once again capturing the attention of the public as a result of his most recent arrest, which has been making headlines. The rivalry between the East Coast and the West Coast in the realm of rap music was spurred by the establishment of Bad Boy Records, owned by Sean Diddy Combs, and Death Row Records, owned by Suge Knight. Diddy has been linked to the killing of Tupac for a considerable amount of time. yet the authorities have not conducted an investigation against him. Furthermore, Eminem asserted that Diddy was, in fact, engaged in the circumstances surrounding Tupac's murder. What transpired between Tupac and Diddy? In 1993, Diddy launched the East Coast record label known as Bad Boy Records. It was through this label that the notorious Biggie and Craig Mack made their debuts. A year later, in 1994, Tupac was shot as he was in the middle of his recording session at Quad Studios. According to reports, he showed the notorious Biggie a middle finger while he was being transported in the stretcher following the incident. An alarming video unearthed recently shows Tupac Shakur addressing Sean Diddy Combs' suspected role in this attack that occurred 2 years prior to his murder. The video was published in response to the news that Diddy had been arrested. Since Diddy was arrested, many people have been reflecting on the relationships that the well-connected celebrity had with other singers, particularly the mentoring that he provided to younger musicians such as Usher and Justin Bieber. There have also been some other recovered interviews with the late rapper Tupac that have been posted on social media. When Tupac was interviewed by Vibe magazine in April of 1995, he made an accusation that Diddy was the one who was responsible for the attack. During the interview, Tupac was questioned if he suspected that Diddy, who was known as Puffy Daddy at the time, had any role in the attack. "It's between me and him, and only he knows," he responded. The day of shooting. Prior to reaching Quad Studios on the day of the recording, Tupac had expressed fears about his personal security, despite the fact that he had promised to participate in one of Little Sean's songs. "As we're walking up to the building, somebody screamed from up the top of the studio," Tupac told Vibe magazine in a 1995 interview. "It was Little Caesar, Biggie's sideman. That's my homeboy. As soon as I saw him, all my concerns about the situation were relaxed." Tupac and his companions entered the building with a sense of fulfillment and assurance. On the other hand, as he got closer to the elevator, he noticed a group of men who he thought were connected to Biggie. The situation rapidly became more serious, as Tupac became aware that they did not seem to be Biggie's security guards. During the interview, he recalled saying, "Even Biggie's homeboys love me. Why don't they look up?" I pressed the elevator button, turned around, and that's when the dudes came out with the guns. 2 identical 9mm. "Don't nobody move. Everybody on the floor. You know what time it is. Run your..." I was like, what should I do? Due to the unexpected attack, Tupac had significant injuries, including a bullet that grazed his skull. He was shot 5 times, leading to severe injuries. As the assailants fled the area, Tupac and his crew made a hasty ascent to the upper floor using the elevator. Tupac added, "I'm limping and everything, but I don't feel nothing. It's numb. When we got upstairs, I looked around, and it scared the out of me." Following his arrival at the studio, Tupac claims to have discovered Diddy, Biggie Smalls, and other individuals. The fact that they did not respond and appeared shocked caused him to wonder whether or not they were aware of the attack beforehand. "Nobody approached me. I noticed that nobody would look at me," he revealed in the interview conducted 2 years before his eventual death. "Andre Harrell wouldn't look at me. I had been going to dinner with him the last few days. He had invited me to the set of New York Undercover, telling me he was going to get me a job," he added. "Puffy was standing back too. I knew Puffy. He knew how much stuff I had done for Biggie before he came out." Aftermath of the shooting. Diddy denied having any knowledge whatsoever about the shooting in the year 2008. "The story is a lie. It is beyond ridiculous and completely false," he said in a statement. "Neither the late rapper Notorious Biggie nor I had any knowledge of any attack before, during, or after it has happened." In yet another interview with the hip-hop publication, Diddy asserts his innocence and refutes the notion that Bad Boy Records was involved in any way in the incident. He ain't mad at the that shot him. He knows where they're at. He knows who shot him. If you ask him, he knows. And everybody in the street knows. And he's not stepping to them because he knows that he's not gonna get away with it. To me, that's some real Be mad at everybody, man. Don't be using as scapegoats. We know that he's a nice guy from New York. All aside, Tupac is a nice, good-hearted guy. In addition to that, Suge Knight made a speech in which he made disparaging remarks about Diddy and his record label, Bad Boy Records, but he did not call the mogul by name. He made the following statement. Any artist out there that want to be an artist and stay a star, and don't have to worry about the executive producer trying to be all in the videos, all on the record, dancing, come to death row. In a conversation with Drink Champs on Revolt TV, Diddy recounted that he had confronted Suge, but that he successfully de-escalated the issue by refraining from retaliating. He said, "So I ran up and I asked him about Suge's speech being about Diddy, and he said, 'Nah, I was talking about Jermaine Dupri.'" Suge Knight made an offer of $1.4 million for Tupac's bail in 1995, and the rapper agreed to sign with Death Row Records in exchange for the offer. Following that, he launched All Eyes on Me, which was the most successful album that Death Row had ever released at the moment. On the other hand, after he was found guilty of sexual abuse, Diddy paid a visit to Tupac at Rikers Island, New York, in order to reassure him that no one on Bad Boy Records was accountable for the attack. Tupac, who thought that the notorious Biggie's Who Shot Ya was disrespectful to him, released Hit 'Em Up, which is a diss track that takes a direct dig at Bad Boy Entertainment. This song is considered to be one of the best diss tracks in the history of recorded music. Imitations of Biggie, Diddy, and Lil' Kim were included in the song video as satirical elements. After some time had passed, Biggie published the song Long Kiss Goodnight, which was widely believed to have been composed by Tupac. However, Diddy refuted the rumors. If Biggie was going to do a song about Tupac, he would have just come out with it and said his name. Death of Tupac. Tupac was shot on September 7, 1997, when he was traveling in a black BMW with Marion Suge Knight, who was the head of Death Row Records at the time. The two individuals were reportedly waiting at a red light close to the Las Vegas Strip when a white Cadillac came up right next to them, and shooting broke out. This information was provided by the police. Suge and Tupac were transported to the University Medical Center of Southern Nevada by personnel from the police and paramedics. Unfortunately, Tupac passed away as a result of respiratory insufficiency, which ultimately led to cardiac death following the removal of his right lung. The doctors made every effort to bring him back to life, but they were unable to halt the bleeding. He was declared dead at 4:03 p.m. Later in the year 1997, Diddy and Snoop Dogg appeared on The Steve Harvey Show in an effort to ask for a ceasefire in the ongoing rap feud among the East Coast and the West Coast. "Kids around the world are watching," Snoop said. "By calling for a truce, we're giving them something to live for." Death of Biggie. On the other hand, during the same year, another sad event took place. A drive-by shooting occurred in Los Angeles 6 months after Tupac's murder, and it was the notorious Biggie who was fatally shot. Following a Vibe after-party, Christopher Wallace's Suburban was accompanied by a Chevrolet Impala SS that pulled up alongside. Wallace was struck by 4 shots as the driver of the Impala, a black male, rolled down his window, grabbed a 9mm blue steel pistol, and aimed at the SUV. Tupac's accusations that associates of music entrepreneur Sean Diddy Combs planned an incident in which Tupac suffered injuries at the Quad Recording Studios in New York on November 30th, 1994, were presented in an article that was published by the Los Angeles Times. The story suggested that the newly uncovered information backed Tupac's claims. Despite this, the Los Angeles Times chose to withdraw the story after fact-checkers came to the conclusion that the FBI reports were faked. But guess what? At this exact moment, there have been further rumors floating about. In 2023, Dwayne Keefe D. Davis was taken into custody on suspicion of complicity in the death of Tupac. Does Diddy play a role in this thing? Davis was questioned in one of the police videos. In response, he responded, "Yes, yeah, I think he did." Mike Dorsey, the director of the documentary Murder Rap: Inside the Biggie and Tupac Murders, announced the emergence of additional audio that had not been previously made public. In the tape, Keefe stated that he was having difficulty receiving a payment of $1 million from the founder of Bad Boy for carrying out the hit. In court documents that Fox 5 was able to access, the prosecution stated that Davis has asserted publicly that he only told on himself and wasn't trying to provide evidence against anyone else in his conversations with police. However, this statement belies this claim, as he suggested that Sean Combs paid Eric Von Martin $1 million for the killings, as well as offered to set up a surreptitious phone call with Terrence Brown, the driver, who, at the time, was still alive. Eminem's reaction. In addition, Eminem recently made the accusation that Diddy was responsible for the death of Tupac. While performing Fuel Shady Version, Eminem makes a veiled reference to the fact that Diddy was involved in the deaths of both Tupac and Biggie. Notorious Biggie's death was the domino effects of Tupac's murder. Like facial tissue, whose card should I clean next? Puffs, he raps. Till he's in police handcuffs? Guilty? Will he step up? Like G, never turned himself in. Who knows all the murders there'll have been? Or me mixed up? Prepare for me to not choose none of my words carefully. In addition to that, he fired a shot at MGK, who had been contracted to Bad Boy Records. Kells, the day you put out a hit's the day Diddy admits that he put the hit out that got Pac killed, rapped M on the track. This is a subtle reference to the tragic drive-by shooting that took place in 1996, in which the legendary Tupac Shakur was shot and killed. However, in a later part of the song, Eminem surprised everyone by saying, "And I'm just playing, Diddy, you know I love you." Diddy, on the other hand, did not take Eminem's lyrical shade lying down and promptly responded to it in an episode of the Joe Budden YouTube podcast that has since been deleted. Diddy made a mysterious comment about the controversial club while he was there as a guest. He expressed a questionable but foreboding sentiment about the establishment. During the course of the podcast, Diddy shared that the altercation that had occurred between him and Eminem had been resolved behind the scenes. He went on to explain, he said, "There's nothing to say about it. It's in my hands." He wiled. NME claimed that rapper Jay Electronica had weighed in on the controversy, adding fuel to the flames. In the midst of his own fight with Eminem, Jay Electronica tweeted out a stern warning over the allegations that were made against Diddy. "How dare you accuse Diddy of killing Tupac? You best tread carefully, son, before I come to tear your ivory tower down like Suleiman done the Templar Knights." 50 Cent's documentary about Diddy. The rapper Curtis 50 Cent Jackson has announced that the documentary series that will be produced about Sean Diddy Combs will be produced by Netflix. According to 50 Cent, it includes other content in addition to just the headlines or clips seen so far. In addition to charges of sexual assault and violent abuse, it also provides coverage of allegations of racketeering and sex trafficking that have been leveled against Diddy. Additionally, 50 Cent acts as an executive producer through his G-Unit Film and Television organization, and Alexandria Stapleton is the director of the documentary. The production of this documentary is underway. This is a story with significant human impact. It is a complex narrative spanning decades, not just the headlines or clips seen so far, 50 Cent and Stapleton said in an exclusive statement to Variety. We remain steadfast in our commitment to give a voice to the voiceless and to present authentic and nuanced perspectives. While the allegations are disturbing, we urge all to remember that Sean Combs' story is not the full story of hip-hop and its culture. We aim to ensure that individual actions do not overshadow the culture's broader contributions. It was said by 50 Cent that the proceeds from the documentary would be used to provide assistance to victims of sexual assault. There is currently no release date for the documentary series on Diddy. In contrast to the Netflix documentary series Mr. McMahon, which purports to show the true Vince McMahon, but instead shows everything but the truth, we can only hope that this one does a better job of capturing its subject. The unsolved mystery that surrounds the death of Notorious B continues to captivate the public even as Diddy waits for his trial, which may result in him serving several more years in prison if the federal allegations that have been brought against him are found to be true.